Hey guys, this is KSP with Dave, and today you join me for episode 41 of KSP Road to Exploration, and today we start with a brand new launch vehicle. Yes, I finally developed myself a 3.75 meter rocket, and it's actually a single-staged orbit. People have been asking me to make SSTOs, but they thought I'd make planes, but no. This is a 27-ton launch vehicle, and today it's launching the Moon rover I've been talking about for just so long now, and I've finally got the capability to launch it. Basically, it was just too heavy for the Pulsar 4, so I developed the Pulsar X, and we'll go into 4 times time accelerate, and you can see this launch all the way to orbit on a single stage. Now this has a somewhat interesting engine design, as I hope you'd expect from me. It has 8 LVT-30 engines on the outside to provide additional thrust, and a Rockermax big fucking one mainsail in the middle for the rest of the thrust and control. It doesn't roll right now very well because it doesn't have any gimbling engines on the outside, so I might have to look into that. But yes, this will become my workhorse vehicle, really, because it's an SSTO. It's much easier to reuse. It has a 27-ton to orbit lift capability, which is pretty great. And yeah, so it will be replacing the Pulsar 4, which will never fly again. I will be keeping on the Pulsar 2, which is the little one I use for manned vehicles and light payloads, and the Pulsar 3 because it's a good intermediate rocket, although I don't use it a ton because I don't have a ton of use for it, but it will still be sticking around, and I will be still developing something like this, but with a second stage, which will hopefully have a 50-ton to orbit payload capability. So yes! New vehicles, I think this is rather nice. And yes, you saw it got into orbit on a single stage and still has a rather decent amount of fuel left. 400 meters per second delta V, and without the payload it's more like 500 or 600. So yeah, it'll easily be able to land. It lands on 8 parachutes and the center engine, as you will see. So accidentally I launched Valentina in the rover, so I might have to send a rescue mission before I send it off to the moon. But we'll think about that later. Right now we need to reuse this stage. Yeah, I totally didn't check the cockpit, and because that cockpit's slightly weird, she doesn't show up in the bottom right corner, so I accidentally launched her to orbit on a never tested vehicle in a rover. So that was kind of dumb. But yeah, anyway, so this also has no rotation control other than the main engine right now, so I'm having to fire the engine to turn the rocket, which isn't great, but I am going to try and unlock some Werner thrusters and just put 4 of them on, and then this will be complete, because then I won't have to carry any extra RCS or anything. So yes, this is the first time this is coming back from orbit, so let's take a look at it. I will leave it all in 4 times time accelerate so you can see the majesty. Now, because it's from such a low orbit, it's going into the atmosphere it'll drop through the atmosphere quite quickly, which means I may have to use some of the fuel to slow down, and that varies from various altitudes. So it can actually launch the same payload to the 120 kilometer altitude of the space station, because it needs less fuel to land, as it doesn't need to do a slowdown maneuver because, we lose all the wings, but that's fine, they're very cheap. Because it has a better trajectory coming from the station, it can launch the same payload to the station, which is actually really awesome, and just kind of this weird little idiosyncrasy of physics, I guess, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, you can see it is, I did have to fire the engine a little bit to slow down, but that's actually a pretty good landing. I mean, well, pretty good trajectory even. We've come in really close to the KSC, and that's pretty nice. We popped the chutes at about 4 kilometers, and they'll open up and slow us down to a manageable velocity, and then we'll use the main engine to slow down, as you can see here. There we are, just we've got tons of fuel left, so we will be able to do a nice slow landing. When we have, with heavier payloads, it may be slightly more dicey, basically. So yeah, that's that on the ocean, and we'll recover that and get all of almost 50,000 funds back for that. Yeah, pretty expensive vehicle, but also pretty awesome. So anyway, I elected to keep Valentina in the cockpit because we're really far away from the space station, so it's actually kind of hard to send a rescue mission right now, and also it might be good to have one of our best pilots in the rover when we land it on the moon, because we're going to have to land it on its tail and then flip it over. So I thought Valentina might be a good asset for this mission, and we'll just send the Red Origin 2 to rescue her, because currently the Thor lander can only take 3 people back from the moon, and there's already 3 people in the moon base. So yeah, anyway, after that burn, and for a quick load because of the weird texture glitching that Scatterer really seems to like, and which I must update at some point. I should probably check all of the mods for updates. But anyway, yeah, here we are, heading out to the moon. Gone rather nicely. I've been trying to figure out how to launch this for ages, But yes, we finally have our vehicles, which is rather good. I wish I'd known that the last Pulsar 4 flight had been the last one, actually, because I really like that vehicle. Maybe I'll do another one ceremoniously, but probably not, because it's so much nicer to use a single-staged orbit. At some point I may develop a plane, because I know they're cool, I just don't have a ton of use for them. But anyway, here we are, just getting our trajectory all correct for landing on the moon, which is going to be relatively difficult-ish. Well, no, I mean, the landing's easy, it's just flipping over without breaking it. But maybe it'll break a couple of wheels, that's fine, we've got an engineer down there. But we don't have any spare parts, so we don't want to lose any solar panels, or at least as few as possible. So I've closed all but 2 for the landing. And I think I do end up closing all of them for the actual landing. But yeah, we're just getting our trajectory all right here. And you can see the rover quite well now. I've designed it with a cupola in the front, so it has a big viewing range for the driver. Not that there's actually an IVA for that cupola, which really sucks because it's so awesome. But we'll take a better look at the rover later after we've landed it, because we'll take it for a quick drive. But I do have some long-range missions planned for this, and it is designed for that. And so anyway, here we are coming down. You'll see this in 1x time accelerator at some point. So we touch down, bounce, and then just kind of sort of try and touch down gently and then twist to land on our wheels. And the SAS holds strong, and it actually lands pretty well. Nothing broken, everything rather nice. That went surprisingly well. So we ditched that little fuel stage, and we have our rover. Now this has a capacity of 3 Kerbals. The pilot, well, the driver up in front with a lot of viewing, has another command module behind it for a engineer and a scientist, so that we can reset our experiments and fix anything wrong with the rover. And it has 2 extra seats on the back there, just for moving Kerbals around the base if we had 5 Kerbals down here. It also has enough life support to survive for 100 days with 3 Kerbals. So if there was something wrong with the base, they could jump in the rover until such a time as they could be rescued. But yeah, anyway, let's drive this over to the base and have a look at it. This is at 4x time accelerator, because it did take a little while, because I was being a little bit gentle. It does have the 6 big wheels, which is quite nice. It has a huge amount of electric charge. As you can see, there's kind of a module there just behind the cockpit, and there's a big battery on one side and a specially shaped materials bay experiment on the other, and then the life support and all of that is behind it. And yeah, you can see this quite nicely, and that's just a wing piece back there that the seats are mounted on. But I really do like this rover. I think it's really, really cool, and it has enough electric charge and solar panels just to drive for pretty much ever. It doesn't have enough to sustain fully driving, but you're never actually holding down the forward key for the whole time. Anyway, Valentina is in the base for a little while, and we take a look around, and it looks rather beautiful. But anyway, we need to complete a mission, because we need to pay for this rover and that lab, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the lab from the base. We're going to attach the lab to the rover, and that will actually complete our create a base on the moon mission, because we've got one of them which was basically designed to pay for this, and it needs capacity of 5 Kerbals, docking ports, and that sort of stuff. So we've got that. If we combine these two as their new vehicles, they'll actually create the new base, and we'll get about 130 grand, which should pay, I believe, for the lab and the rover, which isn't bad at all, even though we do have about 1.6 million funds right now, less the launch vehicle, or less the rover. So we'll get this, and we'll be rather well off. And yeah, so we got complete the mission. And 133,000 funds. Not bad. Not bad for launching an awesome little rover. But anyway, we've just got to reattach everything to the base. I should send more pipes down here, actually, because, because I need to sometimes recharge, fill up the rover with life support, because it does need to be refilled. I should also turn on the water recycler and things on the on the base. I really need to do that. Anyway, so we're going to get Jeb and Adam Kerman into the rover, our engineer and our pro pilot, since Valentina has already had a little drive. We're going to tuck away these 2 solar panels, because we don't need them and we don't want to break them. And we're going to take it for a little spin. After a little bit of driving on 1x time accelerate, I'm a little bit cautious, so I will speed up the video, just because I was really, really cautious driving this, because it was so expensive. It was like 60 grand for this rover, not including the launch vehicle. So yeah, plus the fuel, I guess, of launching it, and the 3% of the launch vehicle I didn't get back. But anyway, yes, I'm going to take it for a little drive up this hill to test its terrain capabilities, and then drive back down another way. And yeah, you can see it is a pretty capable rover. I am rather in love with this thing, because it can, you know, carry the 3 Kerbals for so long, and is a backup base, and I kind of wanted a bit of, if you've seen the Martian movie, I wanted kind of that sort of look of the front, the kind of huge windows, and this Planetary Bases mod pack is so good for that. I hope they had a RVA at some point, it'd be so great. But anyway, yes, here we are on top of this hill, and from here I might be able to get a quick look, if I zoom out enough, at my way out of the crater. Because the base is in a crater, and I want to, well, my first long-range mission, basically, is just going to be driving out of the crater to scoop up the rest of the science that I've left in the Midlands. So I'm going to go and do that at some point, not this episode, maybe in a future one. Maybe next episode, maybe the one after that. And then after that, I'm going to try and drive this rover from this crater. I mean, you might want to go back in the video to get a better view of the moon, but basically from this crater to the one north of it, which is actually a pretty serious drive, but I think it could be really fun. And I might just live stream it, kind of hot gaming style, because those are pretty great. Although I'm not sure how good my internet's going to be, but I'm getting proper internet today, so videos will be returning to normal. But yes, I decided to drive this down this slope here. I'm just going to leave that little probe there, well, obviously, because I can't really take it off the moon, because it's got a little fuel in it, and it's got a few things that I might just kind of cannibalize to fix vehicles if I need them. And this also has a couple of headlights, so it can drive at night, and it has enough electric charge to drive for a very long time, because it has that giant battery there, which is rather nice. And it does have all of the scientific equipment, which is part of why it's so expensive. And it does have an antenna, as you can see on the front, which allows it basically to drive autonomously. Well, not autonomously, obviously I'm controlling it from mission control, but still, you know what I mean. It means I don't need Kerbals in there. So yeah, I think this is going to be a great asset, and we are going to have at least 2 really long-range missions. Because, well, although I could probably make more science on the lab, it's just fun to do some real exploring. I haven't done that in a while in KSP, just some really serious hardcore exploring. But I almost destroyed those solar panels with Jeb, but just managed to dodge them. That was a pretty crazy scene. Yeah, I should also bring down another landing leg, because that one broke a while ago. So we're going to get Adam out and put him into the base, so he can wait for a while we do other things. But, yeah, I think this is going to be awesome. This base is really coming along. I'm really liking it now, and I think it's going to be great. Anyway, another launch of the Pulsar X. Probably a bad name, because that means I guess I can't really name anything like the Pulsar 5 now, so it's going to have to be the Pulsar Y, the Pulsar Z, and then I'm going to be Pulsar Z. God damn it, Peter, you're British. And then I'm going to be out of Pulsar names. I'm going to have to come up with a new name for the rockets. This probably shouldn't be called Pulsar, given that it's an SSTO, but I love the Pulsar rocket so much that, you know, I thought I might as well. But anyway, this is taking my new fueling spacecraft to the space station. It is designed kind of like a bigger version of the other one, except it has a kind of this huge kind of nose cone and just a little bit of fuel at the back. But it can refuel almost all of the LFO tanks on the station, which is pretty good, because all of my fueling vehicles before have had a little too little fuel. So this will just be great, really. So yeah, we're just going to use the rocket to put it in the orbit, and we'll have a lot less fuel in the rocket left over, but as I've said, the trajectory of coming back means that I'll slow down more gently in the atmosphere, so I won't have to do a boost back burn, which means I'll just be able to use the fuel for landing, which will be rather advantageous. So yeah, anyway, let's push our way on into orbit. I should really shut down those outer engines for the orbital insertion burn, because they're less efficient than the Rockamax. So turning them off gives me more delta V, actually. Anyway, I try and separate it, but it won't leave, and I even try and burn a little of the fuel to get me out. But for some reason that's not working. So I jettison this fairing and then bump it with the engines, and that seems to work, which is kind of annoying because I wanted to bring that fairing back. And then talking of annoying fairings, this one doesn't decouple. So fairings are kind of dicking me around today. But anyway, after a little bit of tweaking, we'll get ourselves an encounter. This does have some fuel for use on its engines that isn't part of the payload, and that's kind of just tucked away inside the big 3.75 meter to 2.5 meter adapter, because there's a lot of empty space in there, and that's also where the RCS is. I went a little crazy with RCS thrusters. I might take a few of them off because it's just actually a little annoying. But yeah, even with the fairing still attached there, we can dock onto the station. I cut out most of the maneuvering in, as I usually do. But yes, anyway, it's time to bring back this stage, and I'll leave all of this footage in as well, because it is a totally different kind of thing to the other one, I guess, in a way. So yeah, hopefully in the future when I'm using smaller. Well, basically, I will be able to keep those fairings on in the future if I'm not using a 3.75 meter decoupler, because basically, I don't know why, but it doesn't seem to decouple the fairings when that's there. It doesn't seem to decouple if the fairings are still attached to it, which is a little weird, but, it's a weird game. So yeah, it just rocks a bit, but it is naturally stable, which is quite nice. That's a nice thing about this vehicle, is it doesn't really need... Well, none of my vehicles really need that much stuff to come back to orbit. It would come back to ground from orbit. They just sort of fall. The wings do burn off, the fins, but I don't really need them, and they are quite cheap. And I can't really put stronger wings on there, because they'd be much bigger. But again, we come back right next to the KSC, like even closer this time, and I'm very impressed by that, actually. And you can see I have 93 meters per second left to slow down, so I will be fine on landing if I'm a little careful. We pull the chutes again and just slow down a touch so that the chutes don't rip the rocket apart, which would be kind of bad. And then we'll just touch down on the ocean as gently as possible. Maybe I should put some drogue chutes on this just for a little bit of safety, but I'm not really sure if I will. Anyway, so we'll recover that after a gentle landing and get ourselves 50 grand back. Not bad at all. Anyway, so after refueling the station with this just gargantuan tank, you can see that it just has so much fuel in it. And this is me filling up, I think, almost the final tank. Oh, no, I still have 2 tanks left. But yeah, basically I fill up 5 of these tanks, and then I put a little bit of fuel into the last one as well, just a little bit of oxidizer. So yeah, this is a way better fueling vehicle. I might actually need a bigger fueling station at some point if this carries on for a long time, which hopefully it will. Anyway, so while I was looking through the mission control, we get a contract to explore Jewel, which is great because we have a probe heading there right now, so I thought I'd just take that on. Anyway, so the final part of today's episode, we'll be going and bringing Valentina Coman back because, well, she's gonna basically knock a large amount of mission time off the mission if we leave her there for too long, because she uses up life support because she is a human. No, she's not. She's a Kerbal who respires and needs food and water and all that horrible stuff. So yeah, we're just going to send out our other vehicle to go and get it. Go and get her. Just called her an it. Oh god, Peter, you're objectifying women. But no, yeah, so it's actually pretty useful to have 2 vehicles lying around, I have to say, because the Thor is obviously much better because it can take 3 people, but the Red Origin's just good for other missions, if I just need to go and plant a flag somewhere, it uses less fuel, it's a little more compact, it's just generally nicer, and it doesn't have those annoying little fuel tanks around the outside, which I keep forgetting to fill up on the Thor. Well, I've only flown 1 mission with the Thor, but yeah, and the station has somehow been renamed Thor 1, which is kind of annoying, so I'm going to have to go and rename that. It does have a bunch of naming issues in this. Apparently I've just received a Skype message. Luckily I managed to turn my speakers off, because the Skype noise is so annoying, and Penguin seems to cut up his messages into lots of little messages, which is fine, because that's an easier way to type, but I really should turn off the Skype noise, because when it's like bloop, 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 it drives me crazy. So anyway, yeah, let's get into orbit. We're in a terrible inclination for meeting this station. The station's on a kind of intentional inclination so that it can access more of the moon while still kind of being around the equator, so... Yeah, anyway, but after getting our encounter and doing a quick tweak, I can't even keep up with my editing, we dock with the Thor 1 station. It's actually called the Neptune station, so I'll rename that real quick and call it Neptune. And yeah, then after just waiting a little while for the moon to come into the right, so that the base is in the light, basically, I just... leave this, have to rename it to Red Origin 3 for some reason, and Mitgen, I think it's Mitgen, or maybe Geofold, Gregvin. Okay, I have a bunch of Kerbals now. I've rescued all of them. I'm like one of those dog owners that just has rescue dogs, but I have rescue Kerbals. I basically go down to the pound, I'm like, have you found any Kerbals? It's like, yeah, this guy was just like trying to build a rocket out of cans, and then I go and save them. No, of course, I save them from space, because they're fools. They keep getting caught. They should be in my space program. I haven't lost a single Kerbal yet, and that's legitimate. There's not like quick saves or anything. Oh, maybe one on the moon once. I don't remember. But basically, I haven't lost any Kerbals, and none of my rockets explode. My rockets, my what was it? The Red Origin? No, the what is it? The Ares 1 has a launch escape system. Literally never had to use it. Kind of depressing because it's kind of awesome to watch a rocket escape, and it's not that expensive, so I could afford it. But yeah, I remember in the early days, actually, we had a lot of rockets explode, but it's because I built standardized rockets and didn't kind of mess around with things. I'm so boring, but it works so well. I should run NASA. No, Charlie Bolden's fantastic. Anyway, so after landing on the moon, we get Valentina coming out, and she'll just jump over there. We're not spending any time here, really, because we don't have any much life support. The base can support 5 Kerbals, though, through the night. The main problem is there's 3-day nights on the moon. That's why I have that giant battery, and that's why I can only have 5 Kerbals there currently, because those batteries, I think, pretty much cost about 60 grand. So, yeah, I could launch another one, but then I'll also have to launch more kind of habitation. But they could survive in the rover. Couldn't think of the word rover. But I think that can only support 2 or 3 Kerbals through the night. I should look into that before I do a long mission. But the first mission won't be like a 3-day mission. It should just be a few hours of me driving, which I might live stream that, I'm not sure. But I'll probably live stream the really long one, because it's between craters. I might even drive to the poles. I don't know. I might just go crazy. I might even build a bigger rover. Just spend all my money on rovers. But I also need to be preparing for my Duna mission, which we've got a while, but I think I should be preparing early because I'm planning a big 2-step Duna mission. I might announce it when Elon Musk announces his Mars plans, just in case his are better and I need to change it. No, but basically the first mission is just going to be like a normal science mission. That takes a bunch of equipment out there, and the second mission is going to take out a bunch more equipment that makes it a fully fledged base, and then we'll just have a base on Duna. Probably by then I won't be doing as many launches because I just won't need to, so it will go a little quicker, as the series transitions into a kind of... basically getting the whole system around Kerbin was quite difficult, and I feel like I've almost done that now. Got my kind of reusable system around Kerbin, so I'll probably be doing less frequent launches. But I still will be doing stuff around Kerbin all the time, in the moon base, and probably in Minmus base, and just crazy stuff like that, because I think that's really fun. But anyway, yes, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I think it's time for me to do my new talking over the end plate thing, which I've started doing because the music kind of gets annoying. I've had a couple of complaints, and it kind of annoys me as well. So yeah, you can see there's a couple of videos here that you can go watch. There is my my latest Spore episode, which was quite good. We built land ships, and I just kind of go crazy. And there's GTA stunts and base jumping. Basically, on Saturdays, I've just started, well, not this Saturday because I didn't have internet, but basically I've started just kind of doing more kind of casual fun videos rather than things that are just like, let's get views and do a series and that sort of thing. So yeah, that was kind of fun. I did some stunt races, I did some weird stuff in free mode. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, and then there's also my Twitter handle, which is linked in the description. My Twitch is also linked in the description, and my Patreon on screen, which feel free to check out, but also feel free just to ignore completely, because I'm not that good at what I do. I'll see you next time.